Welcome to the April 28th, 2022 Natural Resources Committee of the City of Westfield City Council teleconference, which is a City of Westfield Zoom meeting. Specific information can be found on the City of Westfield website at www.cityofwestfield.org. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so by tuning in to Channel 15 or Channel 12, or online at westfieldtv.org, or online at youtube.com, Westfield Community Programming Channel. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the city's website an audio recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. And I call this meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. Item 2 is roll call. Councillor Alley. Oh, I'm sorry, you just take a drink. Sorry. Councillor Alley.
Here.
Councillor Morganelli.
Here.
And Councillor Mello is here. Item 3 is the reading of the record. May I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of, hang on a second, March 2nd, 2022.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion, edits, amendments?
No.
Roll call. Councillor Alley?
Yes.
Councillor Morganelli?
Abstain because I was not present for that meeting.
On March 2nd?
Right.
Okay. And Councillor Mello says yes. I thought you were absent the one before that, but I could be confused about that. So item 4, public participation. Is anyone present? Oh, sorry, motion passes. Item 4, public participation. Is anyone present interested in speaking on an item that is not on the agenda currently? Because if you'd like to speak about agenda items, I will open the floor then. Okay, seeing none. Number 5 is communications of departments or city officers, which I will recognize School Committee member Kathleen Hillman, former City Councilor Mary Ann Babinski, and Flood Control Commission Chairman Algier in just a moment, assuming they're all looking to talk about old business. So number 6, old business. Item A was introduced in 2017, back when Councilor Babinski was chair of Natural Resources, to create a conservation plan. And so it is on the agenda for tonight to begin discussing how we're going to do that, create an outline for how we're going to work this out over, say, the next 6 months, maybe, to know when you're going to be available and not available, and to make sure we make a list of the resources we need to gather, the stakeholders we need to reach out to, and whatever state or local groups, resources, departments could be of assistance here. So if anyone from the public came in to discuss item 6A, the create a conservation plan, and wanted to give us your thoughts, the floor is now open. I see Councillor Babinski's hand. I will just take 1 second to recognize Councillor Morganelli first. Councillor Morganelli?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Can you just, do you have the original motion from 2017? I wasn't on the council at that point. I tried to find it on the council share and I could not find the motion or the discussion of what was discussed and what this conservation plan was, what the ask was, I guess, is what are we asking for? What are we trying to do with this?
I would love to explain. February 2nd, 2017, Councillor Babinski convinced a resident named Mello to come in and speak to the council about PFAS contamination. And this was the first time this resident had ever been in council chambers or to the podium, and with a relatively shaky voice, asked the council to do several things, including a moratorium on firefighting training and other things, but there was a itemized list, and on that list, there are 2 that have not yet been finished. One of them is create a conservation plan. The other is in progress. The law department is taking care of that, going after the polluter to make the polluter pay. So that is in progress. And the other one that is left pending is create a conservation plan. So if you look at the items in committee from the city clerk in your email, I believe it is the first item on the list of natural resources. So that is where the full, and it's like a paragraph long. So that is why I did not include it. You're welcome. Councilor Alley, did you have anything, or may I recognize Councilor Babinski?
Okay, so obviously, all right. Is somebody submitting work or like a conservation plan from like other communities to serve as a model for something like that?
I have downloaded several, and we're gonna, looking through them and see what will work for us.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Babinski, you are officially recognized, and thank you for attending.
Yes, thank you very much, Kristen. I just wanted to ask the question of following through. I kind of vaguely remember, it's a fog in my head here now. Way back, I do remember it, since you stated your part in this. Are you going to involve, as you go through this process, because you said 6 months is going to take, working with the Conservation Commission and the Master Plan Committee? Because I know as things are still happening up here on the north side, and this should apply obviously to the whole city too, but it seems to be always on the north side, we have issues that direct us to look at something like this and hope that we can put something like this in place. So I'm sure that there are other groups. I know we don't have BayPAC anymore, and that might be part of some other question or old business that you have on here, but so is that going to be a work in progress, like inviting these people from these other groups to contribute?
Well, it actually, this tonight's meeting and the agenda item being on, the item being on tonight's agenda was prompted by a conversation that I overheard while listening to a Conservation Commission meeting. And they were talking about how the city didn't have a conservation plan. And I thought, there's already a motion for that in our committee. And so maybe we could, so I have reached out to the commissioners that were interested and the chair. And I also intend to reach out to former BayPAC officials, other academics that have been very interested in the issue, stakeholders, Mass DEP, DCR, everyone that, would have something useful to add. And I am very much hoping that as we can define what it is that we find important to conserve and areas that could benefit from enhanced nature, enhanced rewilding, like areas that are small pocket places that just don't have pollinator friendly, perennials or things like that. Like as we find little things and big things that we can do to create a comprehensive plan that can help inform the master plan. Because when we tried to reach out about that, we found that we could work in parallel.
Okay, well, that'd be great, because I don't know if it was the last Conservation Commission that you heard that, but I was on the one that happened this week. And there were people that communicated with me beforehand, because there is always some confusion up here on the north side about what's wetland, what's not wetland. Have we filled in too much of the wetland? Why are areas flooding? Well, we know there's a lot of water up here. We keep forgetting that. And also what's intermittent streams and what's perennial, because that dictates what kind of projects or development should be allowed and how they should compensate for or mitigation put in place to protect what we have up here. One of them, of course, we know the key one, and I know someone from the Flood Control Commission is here, Al Jaguar, that Brook is a very important part of what we have up here. So all of that comes into play here on the north side. And I'm sure people on other areas of the city might have issues too that they want to address that would fit into a conservation plan. So that would be good because some of those issues were brought up at this last meeting too. So it's clear that we need to step back and we need to look at the history even of things and decisions that were made before that we kind of forget about when we're making and doing development, new development at this time and place. So protecting our natural resources, I know a key thing that we are interested in up here. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Councilor Pravinsky, for staying engaged on this because your information and breadth of expertise in this area is, very valuable to us. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I appreciate that you're coming back and revisiting this.
Thank you. Is anyone else from the public interested to speak? Al, are you ready?
Evening, Madam Chair. Yes. Not sure what I can add at this point to the discussion other than there's definitely a lot of different moving pieces that should be considered in this. And as Councilor Babinski had stated, flood control and flooding issues and wetland issues play a big part in this. If you don't have these riparian and wetland areas protected to some degree, you increase the threshold of flooding for every area around it, whether it be intermittent or not. Those are areas that absorb rainfall naturally and store it for periods of time. So as we develop out Westfield and being a good portion of it, a big portion of the city being a floodplain, that's natural water storage area during flooding events and even just regular rainfall events. And as we build out on more and more of it, we impact it considerably. And during even minor flooding events that should normally pass through our systems pretty readily, it can't because the ground can't absorb it. Impervious surfaces impact that absorption rate, and then the natural storage capacity of the land, which once was wetlands and open space, is now parking lots and fast food restaurants. So we do have some undeveloped floodlands in this city along the Westfield and Little Rivers that should be part of a conservation plan for development. We should be building out further on those. On the existing ones, it is what it is at this point. But the other areas, the city should be looking at acquiring those and maintaining them as open natural space and not developable building lots. I understand the tax base issues, but like we've seen in the Midwest, after major floods, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA stepped in and said, well, these areas can no longer be built on, and basically bought and demolished entire areas of cities and towns, and even moved some towns to get them out of the way of the floodplain and to use that floodplain as natural compensatory storage, which is what it is. So comp storage as it is here in Massachusetts is somewhat antiquated in that the way things work is it looks good on paper, but realistically doesn't always play out as well. So from a risk standpoint for our city and a conservation standpoint, they kind of play into each other. And Westfield being what it is, it's a very high risk town for flash flooding and for flooding issues. So our municipal systems aren't able to cope with what we have now, and protecting those areas that can absorb the floodwaters and natural rain runoff, it becomes more and more important as the city grows. So, and one other thing I'll add, as Marianne had said about Armbrook and also Powder Mill Brook, which is the main tributary there, when the NRCS ran the hydrological and rainfall studies based on the last, I believe it was the last 30 years or 50 years, I can't remember which, of rainfall totals for this area, they noticed that it had gradually increased on those two tributaries to Westfield River. And their overall impact because of development had increased more than what they were anticipating when they were originally constructed, which necessitates these two dams having to be enlarged in the rehabilitation project. And their storage capacity has to increase because they currently can't handle a 100-year storm that they were designed to handle. So those are all serious things that the city needs to look at in a conservation plan. It's a balancing act between tax base and city needs and general safety. It's a tough thing to do, but it has to be done if people realistically want to develop the town and keep what we have before it washes out into the river. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair Jagir. And can we work together to make sure that we include in the record all of the appropriate maps? I know that I've seen, there were new flood maps and new FEMA things, but I want to make sure that all of the areas that would be appropriate to conserve for comp storage are where they need to be, and all of the floodplain parcels that would be appropriate for the city to look for, that we have a list. Can we do that?
Yeah, I don't have a ready list, but it's as simple as just looking at open space. I can put something together for you, Kristen.
Thank you very much. And you
welcome.
don't have to do it alone. I will totally help you with it. Like, we can go through the open spaces plan together and mark off what is common to that and this, and then what other things we should be looking for.
Right.
So, it also is going to involve looking at the 61A stuff, and, it's going to involve a lot. And so the beginning meeting is just sort of to like mark out the lot that we need to go reach out and bring together. So, all of your input
Right.
would be really helpful.
One thing that I'll add to that is keeping some of the areas, because most of these areas currently are agricultural. Keeping them agricultural is helpful. So I'll add that in.
Thank you. Councilor
You're welcome.
Morganelli, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Al, for your service to the city and what you do, and thanks for being here tonight. I would like to just mention a current example of what Al was talking about. So there's up on Maderos Way, Timber Swamp. There's two businesses being proposed to go in up there. One is a cannabis cultivation facility, and the other one is a Jupiter Power. It's a battery. Basically, they're giant lithium battery units that draw off the power lines, store energy, and then they sell it when it's convenient to sell. So there's two large areas of land that are, and basically they're on the aquifer. I mean, even though you look at a map and it's not the aquifer is right there. I mean, it's literally 100 feet, 200 feet away. It's not far. So I think what we're talking about, I think this all stemmed from the PFAS and protecting the aquifer and that, and mostly Ward 1, if I'm not mistaken. And so the real example is that I asked a question at the planning board meeting last week when the cannabis cultivation company came in and they said they wanted to do that. I said, well, what is the, they build the retention area for stormwater when it rains heavily. And so they're going to pave a large area, pave and concrete. That water would normally get absorbed into the ground. So now where does it go? It runs somewhere else. So when you pave or put concrete down, you're basically putting a footprint there that used to be absorption area and now it's not. So it has to go somewhere else and get absorbed. So you are changing the flood plain or the aquifer area, so to speak, when you do that. And they thanked me for my question. They were very, very attentive to that. And they did have a plan in place for that. So I guess just wanted to give a real example, but my point too is, I guess we have to, we have state regulations for conservation. We have our city conservation land on the map. We have a master plan that's ongoing right now. And unless we're going to change an ordinance in the city, which I think, we can do, but I think we need to do it collectively with all these other departments, as you say. So perhaps we need to, bring, I don't know if we're putting the cart before the horse. We've got a conservation plan on our agenda to create a plan, but I don't think it's so much the council's prerogative alone to create this plan. I think the citizens and the master plan committee and business owners, and I think they all need to be part of that. So I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not sure like what our directive is, as you said, Madam Chair, in the next 6 months, what we need to do as a committee. Is the end game new zoning for conservation? Is the end game a moratorium on building businesses within 1,000 feet of the aquifer? I mean, what's the, I kind of need to know, like, what's the end game or what's the goal here so that we can develop a plan to meet the goal. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Okay,
please,
so
thank you.
So you're right that originally this was brought up because of the PFAS, but also if you remember in 2017, we had a terrible, couple of years of drought. So we were in this position where our PFAS numbers were really high. Our water numbers were getting lower. The reservoir could not be online all the time because we were using it so much. And, nobody even understood how to make a conservation plan at the time. Nobody understood even how to wrap our brains around it. Now, when I tried to ask about the conservation side of the master plan, if you're not on the committee, you're not getting any information. So that since it's in our committee to make a conservation plan, that is within our purview because it has already been put in our committee. So my thinking is to speak with you about what our schedules are. I know that budget season is coming up, so we can't do a lot of heavy lifting while we're doing heavy economic lifting. But we could do a blast outreach to stakeholders and then start collecting information in this time. We could reach out and find out what the DCR requirements are, what PVPC can do to help us, what other people have already done so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and which ordinances would need to be tweaked in order to enact such a conservation plan, right? The Water Resources Protection District zoning ordinance is already in our committee. So those tweaks and, the septic thing, that stuff can all be massaged during these conversations. And, when we see what the city and the stakeholders and the departments agree is, a good way forward in order to protect ourselves and keep some of what makes Westfield so amazing for our children, right? Without befouling everything, then, then we can find ways to move forward and change laws. But in terms of the investigative work to how to even put a plan together or what needs to be included in that plan, originally when this came back out, I spoke to Mayor McCabe about it, and he said he didn't need to micromanage it, and we can move forward to work on what we have and bring it forward. If we can create a plan we think can work, where we have reached out to the business owners and the base and Al and everybody who's got something to say about this, then we can come forward and say, okay, we need talk to the law department. Which ordinances do we need to change? How hard would that be? And see what's possible. But in the next couple months, I assume we're going to do some outreach, make some outlines, schedule some meetings, and then create some sort of central repository where the information we're bringing together is so that everybody, including the public, can access it. That was my hope for today, was to have a general outline of meetings so that I would know when you guys are doing vacations or you absolutely can't meet now and then, so that we can start making appointments with people like DEP, and other stakeholders, so that we can say we're going to have a meeting here. This is going to be about this section. We're going to make a folder where the open spaces plans are, where when we find out how much impervious coverage is here, we're going to put that information there. When we find out how many brownfield spaces are in Westfield, we'll put that there. If we were going to have a survey for the residents to take, we could put the information that leads there. So that's where I am with this. So that when the master plan people are ready to talk to us, we have an idea of what we'd like to add and why.
Madam Chair, I would say that, with the budget season coming up, I think we need to wait and see what the Finance Committee has for meetings coming up before we go ahead with a plan to book a bunch of days and dates and meetings. I mean, obviously the last Thursday of the month is a standing meeting for this committee. So maybe we could have some action items in the next 4 weeks so that we have people at the last meeting in May, the last Thursday in May to address, to have a plan to do something on the agenda there based on the things that we find out from the people that we contact. I think, and then from there, I think we can go forward, because then we'll have the meeting agendas from the schedule rather from the Finance Committee. Just an idea, suggestion.
Correct. I've been in communication with the chair of finance, and they're working that schedule out now. So the reason to have this meeting is to bring it all forward so that we can make the motions to do the work, right? So if someone makes a motion to authorize me to send out letters for outreach, or to set up the questions in a form that the residents can answer, excuse me, and to set up, information with the chair of finance to do that. And if you guys tell me what your vacation schedules are, that's enough for tonight, and then we can move forward.
Yeah, and I don't think we need a motion for the action items that we're going to be accountable to. That we really only need to make motions if we're going to vote on something, or if we need to send a report somewhere, or it's really anything that needs a vote. So I don't think we need to do that.
As long as you officially authorize me, I don't care how we do it.
Yeah. Well, as the chair of the committee, you're so authorized. I mean, we have action items, and if it goes into the minutes that we're going to do certain things, then that's really we're authorized. We're authorized by the citizens of Westfield because they voted us in, and we're here, and we're here to do some work. So, yeah, not everything needs a motion, but I'm all for, getting some action items and working on that in the next 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. You can give me a job. I'm not sure. I'm interested perhaps interested in the maybe the zoning map. I guess if that's something that we need to look at, if there's an area that we need extra protection on. But I mean, I'm not sure when the last time that was done and when all the conservation areas were laid in there. I mean, some of those things are from the state. So, and we can strengthen anything from the state of Massachusetts. And we can widen a conservation area. We can certainly do that to create a new one. I'm not really sure what that process is, and we haven't done that before. So
I believe that Councillor Sullivan offered to help us with that.
Okay, we can give him a job, even though he's not on this committee.
The opportunity presented itself at the council meeting, and I couldn't really pass it up. So that he did say on the record he would assist us.
Great, it's great to have the help, because he was at the state level. He had environmental, care for the environment and business, and so I'm sure he'd be very knowledgeable.
Right.
Councillor Alley?
Yeah, and I agree with Councillor Morganelli that if the chair or any of us, let's say, send out an email or a letter requesting input from stakeholders or people, basically you're pulling information together. So, and I'm running a farm this year, so I don't know that I have vacations. So, and this is something that, once you get past budget season, we could probably meet, once a month, looking at information, kind of, even creating an outline of just the conservation plan itself. You know what I mean? As far as like an outline of what would all be entailed into it. Because once you're looking at an outline over the documents, that goes a long way to the plan, because now you've got all the items covered. It still has to be, tweaked or massaged or whatnot. But, even if you can rough out the outline of what would be involved in it, right? And then we can evaluate that.
Several states have templates, right? So in particular, one that's really nice is from the state of Missouri. Who knew? Some states have templates for their communities
Right.
who want to make a broader conservation plan. It's a little flavored like our open spaces plan, but it's not entirely. It's sort of, also blends in the economic development and environmental justice and things like that. And so some of them are really terrific, but I haven't been able to read them all, but I'd like to put them all in a place where I can send you guys a link and you can say, oh, I really like this part of this, but I think that's a waste of our time.
Yeah, but I think like even getting input from like the Conservation Commission or just the various entities, stakeholders, obviously, BayPAC. I mean, BayPAC probably did work that, former Council Babinski can refer to, and so that you're able to create this, the best way to describe it is an outline.
Yes.
From the various things. So now at least you're looking at an outline that can be added to, or, and then these are the items that are being referred to, because you're talking about a boatload of editing and writing, and it's a lot, and 6 months may not be enough. I mean, I've worked on some projects that, I think
I don't think we'll be finished in 6. I just want to sketch out what the
but
next
even to
6
get that outline and the bits and pieces that would support that document, because this becomes it is a big plan.
Yeah.
As big as anything else. That would go a long way. I mean, at least you're heading in the right direction. That's something that you can keep adding to it. And that's open-ended enough where, as anybody's working on it, whether it's coming from commissions or whatever, it's being added to that document, that body. And then when it's close to being, assembled or complete, then you can start editing, or you can start editing at any point. But then it's, then you got something to follow. And
do you both have access to like Google Docs?
Yes.
Yes. So if I start making a Google Drive where I put things in and begin a document where a major outline starts, and then we put references and links in where people can find the information, and then is that useful? Councilor Morganelli?
You can't do that. Open meeting law violation. We can't have a Google Doc that the three of us are adding into outside of this meeting. You can't do that.
I think I would run it by legal, because if you're just adding, like input from the Conservation Commission or any other body, right?
It's a document. It's a document for this committee. It would have to be presented at a meeting and then added to the document. I'm pretty sure about this. You can
but
ask
I would
legal.
ask the chair to just run that by legal, because basically we're building an outline. It's nothing. It's a pile of stuff. We're not discussing it. We're not collaborating on it. You know what I mean? It's a pile of stuff that's being assembled.
Right. If I may,
As long as it's not
I
being
believe we
discussed
have a consult with legal next week
Okay.
on open meeting law.
So I would bring that
That
one.
would be
Basically,
yeah.
if it's
Please
not
ask
being-
that question at the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, I absolutely will. And the thing is, I believe that Councilor Morganelli is correct in that if we were writing our own thoughtful words in an outline that became sort of a text, excuse me, that would be deliberative possibly and shaky ground. But I believe if we made an outline with input from conservation, input from DEP, and it was just a
dump.
Like a directory with the links to where this is and where that is, and it was just informational, like a card catalog.
Yeah.
I don't know that if it were accessible to the public, would be a violation.
Yeah, but if we're not
So
discussing it and it's
we
just
can
being
ask-
assembled,
Right. Well, let's ask her.
yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else on this particular topic?
No.
Okay. So shall we, can we motion to keep in committee? I need to do something with it, right?
Well, motion to keep item A, creating a conservation plan
6A.
in committee.
Motion 6A to be clarified.
6A. I stand corrected.
Yes, second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call. Counselor Ellie,
Yes?
Counselor Morganelli,
Yes.
and Counselor Mello is a yes. Okay, so 6B through 6D. 6B is essentially a conversation that's exactly the same as the one we just had, except it's about the Water Resources Protection District zoning ordinance. We're gonna reach out to stakeholders, collate the information, make an outline in the next few months. And this is, we're gonna set goals for us to hit as a committee to get this moving. Is there any further discussion on that? Anybody? Okay. So seeing none, may I have a motion to keep in committee?
Motion to keep item 6B in committee.
Please hold 1 second before I recognize that. Counselor Babinski?
Hi, I was just gonna, as you know, I have a ton of information on that. Many years of working on it and in conversations, and some of them worked out in detail with Pioneer Valley Planning Commission and the Mass DEP. I have I could burn you a CD if you want, but some of the stuff, I know you can find some of it at the old meetings. They're attached to the agendas from the Natural Resources Committee, but there's also some other information that may or may not be helpful, but I'd be very happy to put it on a CD, and because I'm not going to email them to you because there's too much.
Right, or I can drop you off a USB if that's okay too.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever works for you, and anything else that you think you might want to, or that might be helpful, I'd be willing to share that. It is part of the Natural Resources Committee from before, so it is, if anything extra that I have, you're welcome to it. And I agree with you that this is all overlapping, and with the conservation plan too, this is a very important piece of it. We have to decide whether we want to move forward with some of the things we had discussed over those years, or because and you've seen that one was the Mass DEP went through and looked at it and examined it item by item by item in what we wanted to do with the revised Water Resource Protection Ordinance, and gave, told us where it was stronger or okay or needed some stiffening up. So that there's a bulk of a lot of work that has been done on that already. So hopefully that will be helpful.
It will be, and thank you very much. And also, with the new interagency task force report out and the stuff that came out of Tura in December, there's a lot more that we need to be paying attention to too. So
yeah, and one last comment, I would just like to have this committee too, if they can, because I still am doing it myself, is keep putting in a word for it. Was part of the MVP plan that we had, was that we entertain the possibility of recreating BayPAC or something similar to that with neighboring communities. We know that BayPAC was made up of 4 communities: Southampton, East Hampton, Holyoke, and Westfield. And Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, Patty Gambrini, when they were going to start reorganizing or re-up it, I suppose, it was signed another plan with those 4 communities. She also got Southwick and West Springfield were very interested in becoming a part of that. So we don't know if that's possible, if there's an appetite in this city to combine with other communities or not. But something official, I think, needs to happen either in that respect or within the city itself. But we do have neighboring communities that share this aquifer with us, share aquifers with us. I think they deserve to have some kind of input too. So that could be part of your plan, whether it's a conservation plan or this water resource protection plan. So Thank you. That's all I say. I could go on forever, but I'm not going to.
Well, thank you very much. And actually, that is a separate item in committee introduced last year by Councilor Morganelli and Matthews Kane. Right? Was it last year or the year before?
What one was that one?
Last year. To see about reigniting BayPAC.
Well, I must have missed that one, but there is an item in the MVP plan too that was put in there.
Excellent.
And it was brought up again. We just had a core team meeting this month of the MVP because there has to be a report made to the state. And I mentioned it again at that time too. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Morganelli, are any of your motions under this item?
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Alley. Are any of the motions that you had written for item 6B?
Water resource protection.
Yeah, I don't think so, but
don't-
I just want to check with you.
No.
Okay, then may I have a motion to keep in committee?
I did that.
Oh, yes, I'm
So
sorry.
moved.
Recognizing
Let me
Councilor
second it.
Morganelli's motion.
That's what we need.
Second.
Sorry, here we are again. So roll call vote, Councilor Alley,
Yes.
Councilor Morganelli,
Yes.
and Councilor Mello is a yes. Okay, look at us cooking right along in committee. All right, so 6C. Councilor Morganelli, Councilor Alley, do you have any motions to make on this item?
C. All right. So
Water production and billing.
So this was the Westfield Taxpayers Association letter
Mm-hmm.
regarding water production and billing. I certainly could.
Well, because the ones that are sewer would be D. So anything that's water would be
Water
C.
production. Okay. All right. So, all right. And then D will be sewer.
Yep.
All right. So, so the first one, these were recommendations and suggestions from Lisa and Jane Oskin. And you said you have these on council share, so these can be shared with the city clerk as a document. They're coming out of this committee as a motion, and they may get amended here or wherever, but at least it'll help the city clerk to work with this as a document. So the first one is a motion by Councilor Alley regarding, wait a minute, sewer, right? Hang on a second.
You want water first?
I want water first, so this is actually a D, okay. Even though that goes to, all right. All right, so the second one is water and sewer. How do you want to handle that one?
I'm gonna leave that up to you.
Okay, well, I'm gonna bring that one in. And sewer.
Is it billing?
Both of these are going to deal with billing, right? Or mechanisms. Yeah, this is all right. It's a little bit complicated the way you've worded it, but
I only have the motions that are in committee. I can't, once they come into committee, I can't reword it really.
All right, give me 1 second.
No problem.
Billing. All right, so this would fit under billing. So I'm going to put this one under C, even though it's water and sewer, I believe. All right, so we'll go with the first one. So motion by Councilor Alley regarding water and sewer accounting. The system should update from senior discount code to an active code when the residential property changes ownership. Some residential accounts have inactive sewer code. As a result, are not being charged for using our sewer system.
That's the whole motion.
Well, that's an explanation.
Okay,
The
what's the-
motion is basically, the motion can be just, regarding the water and sewer accounting. If you want.
So, motion to send a memo to,
Would this
The water?
be referred to Water Department and Water Commission, I believe.
okay. So Yeah,
It would
make,
just be motion by Councilor Alley regarding water and sewer accounting system, and then refer to Water Department and Water Commission.
it,
And then
okay,
we can discuss. That would be the motion, I guess.
motion by Counselor Alley to review water and sewer accounting.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about that, Counselor Morganelli?
Yeah, who is this for? The motion is to review water and sewer accounting.
Well, do
Motion
we
for
need a
who?
second?
Motion for who? Where are we sending this?
Out
To
of-
Water Department and Water Commission, I think.
So motion to the water to send a letter to the, a request to the Water Commission and Water Department to review, what is it again? The water and sewer
Accounting system.
accounting system.
And then I can elaborate or why it's needed.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Yeah, roll call vote, Counselor Alley?
No, any discussion?
Yeah,
Do we have to vote on that?
Well, I thought we were
All
voting
right.
on sending the motion out to the council. I thought that was the
So the
discussion.
motion's made and seconded, then the discussion, and I can like.
Yeah, okay, discuss.
All right, thank you. So basically what happens is there's a modifier code, okay, that applies a senior discount. When the property changes hands, the system, I guess, they remove that modifier code. And it basically becomes inactive. It doesn't go to like 100% billing. So all of a sudden, the new property owner ends up with no sewer bill. Maybe there's supposed to be a modifier code on there that would make it 100%. In other words, you'd pay your sewer bill like anybody else. When they remove the senior discount, it basically becomes inactive. And so the new owner, they have a water bill, but they have no sewer bill. Hopefully I'm explaining that correctly.
So you mean they remove, when they're trying to remove the discount, they end up deactivating the account?
For the sewer, yes. And then,
Correct.
yes, exactly. So
But
it
there's
doesn't
no
show up
senior
anywhere.
discount on the water, so it doesn't apply to that.
Say it again?
There is no senior discount on water, right? So that
I
when they
don't know.
remove the
It's
senior,
just-
yeah, so
this-
that's why it wouldn't happen to the water.
Correct. So basically you end up with a new resident and all of a sudden they're never getting a sewer bill.
Right, and the accounting is done off-site, right? It's a third party.
That I don't know, but they can deal with that.
Okay, I'm pretty sure the
Just-
Oxons know.
We don't care how they fix it, they just need to fix it.
Councilor Morganelli?
yeah, just, I was tasked with sending the minutes from the public participation from Jane Oakson to the Water Commission and the DPW, which I did. I did not hear back. This was from the last meeting before. So I didn't hear back, and they had a meeting. I think in the end of March. They have one next week. They have a meeting next week. But I looked at the agenda, and I didn't see anything that looked like they were going to discuss. This is for the Water Commission. It didn't look like there was anything there for them to discuss on this. But so I just wanted to mention that Ms. Oakson's comments did get sent, and they know what was talked about at our meeting. So.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Shall we take a roll call vote? Counselor Alley?
Yes.
Counselor Morganelli?
Yes.
And Counselor Mello, yes. So that motion is going to be going out at our next council meeting. Are there any other motions, Counselor Alley, under C?
Yeah, I believe there is. Thank you for asking. So motion by Counselor Alley regarding pollution betterment fee. I think that's billing, right? Would that be billing or potential mechanisms?
A pollution betterment fee would be a bill.
Right, because
Or-
your next item basically just talks about sewer. You separate it, so that's strictly sewer. So, all right, so I think this is okay. So anyways, it would be regarding creating and we can, send a letter, requesting, so motion by Councilor Alley to send letter requesting creating a pollution betterment fee and refer to the Water Commission.
Second. Please explain.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion, Counselor Alley.
Thank you. So sewer enterprise ratepayers fund new extensions in the system. When homes don't hook on, the financial burden is left to the ratepayers. A pollution betterment fee should be assessed as outlined in ordinance section 1852 and 1853. So I know the council, and I remember Councilor Sullivan spoke to this a little bit when we brought it up at one point. That there really should be, like, when we do this work and people agree to it, they should begin, have so much time to actually do it, but begin after a certain period of time, just stop paying even a flat rate, even if it's a small amount, into the system, because otherwise everybody's doing the heavy lifting. And if it comes back onto the city, it's being covered by other people. When they're benefiting by it, they're benefiting by the fact that we're covering this, we're doing the work. And if they signed it onto this, in a reasonable amount of time, but they should be paying something. Even if they're not using it, they should be like this base fee. Let's say they have a septic system and they've decided to go another 10 years. Oh, that's fine. Okay. But if you didn't sign up within, let's say, the first 2 or 3 years, you'd begin paying just a base fee. Wouldn't be much, but you'd be paying something. You could wait 10 years to, before you replace your septic system or selling the house or whatever, but you'd at least be contributing to this, after, like I say, an initial period of like 2 or 3 years, because you signed up for it. It's there, it's there for the new owners, whatever, but to contribute nothing and then just say, well, 15 years later, I'm still not doing it. That's not right. So that's it in a nutshell.
Counselor Morganelli, does that answer all your questions?
Yes.
Counselor Alley, is the fee, do you have a outlined fee structure in your mind, or are you going to leave that up to them?
I would leave that up to the commission.
Okay.
At this point. I think that's under their purview anyways.
Okay. Is that everything?
Yes,
Okay, so roll call vote on this motion. Counselor Alley,
absolutely.
Counselor Morganelli,
Yes.
and Counselor Mello is a yes. Counselor Alley, do you have more under C?
Funny you should ask. Yes. So this is a motion by Councilor Alley regarding question on the residential water use calculation and water saving program. Refer to Water Department and Water Commission.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion?
Okay. So the Westfield Water Statistical Report shows that the average resident uses 97 gallons of water per person per day. Mass DEP prefers a range of 60 to 65 gallons per person per day. The question is are we calculating the statistic correctly? And do we need to institute a water saving program? So I will amend that motion where it's, once again, sending a letter requesting that the Water Department and Water Commission review this or something like that.
1 second, Councilor Morganelli. Mrs. Oxen, do you have new numbers to share with Councilor Alley and the rest of the committee on that? Did those numbers change this year?
Yes, they did. We've dropped to 72 gallons a person per day. It appears they've changed our population, which we used to use a number of 32,000 was using the water. It's
Right.
now gone to 35,639. So by changing the population up to more reasonable number, we've dropped to 72 gallons a person, which is not all that bad.
So in your, may I ask a question to the chair?
Yes, please.
So in your opinion, should we not take action on this motion? Because that's pretty close.
It's not really important right now. More of the losses are at 17.5%. That means the water we produce versus the water we bill out, we're losing 17.5%, which is pretty bad. That means leaks.
Right.
Means leaks.
Leaks.
Yep.
Yeah. They don't even want to know about that.
Go ahead,
Question,
Councilor
how are we
Morganelli.
losing, what are we losing? How are we losing something?
Leak.
When you make water, we know how much the reservoir and all the wells make. When we push out into the system, then we know how much the meters for residents, for businesses, we have one agriculture, and we use over 29 million gallons for municipal water. You take that away from the amount we produce, and it leaves an unaccounted amount. That is 270 million gallons, or 17.5% of what we produced.
All right, so, Madam Chair.
Please.
First of all, 72 gallons a day, if people are working 8 hours a day or they're out of their home 8 hours a day for something, if they shower every day, if they drink a gallon of water a day like you're supposed to, I guess, right? You wash your clothes, you wash your dishes, if you have a pool, I guess in the summer you're filling a pool or adding water to the pool when there's anyway, my point is 72 gallons a day seems very high to me, number one. Number two, 17% of the water that we're producing that goes out of our system, and we're not getting money for that.
Yep.
Why are we not getting paid for that? Is someone getting free water? I'm sure there's a small amount or some amount that is leaking, but it can't be 200, 300 million gallons. It can't be that much. So
Would you like to amend the question?
Can we? So I really think we need to get a full explanation of the 17. I think we need to see some numbers from the water department. We need to see these numbers, and we need to see that. They need to give us statistical evidence of how much leaks. Because obviously cities and towns, they all have maybe a certain amount. And how do we compare with other cities and towns as far as this percentage? If you find out that the average nationwide or in Massachusetts is 5% loss due to leaks or something. Okay, then where's the other 5 minus 18, right? Or where's the other 13%? And then, I think we need we need some answers to that. I mean, we're being charged for every drop now with these new meters.
Mhm.
You used to be able to just wash your hands real quick, turn it off, and you probably wouldn't have to pay for that water. Now, every single drop, I mean, I have a humidifier on my new gas-powered gas furnace, and it trickles in through a filter, and then that air goes through it, and it evaporates it, and it humidifies the air, right? I got a notice on a leak in my house when I first turned that on because it trickles, right? So you're getting charged for every drop. So how is there 17%, millions of gallons of drops being unaccounted for?
Mhm.
I don't get that. I mean, if anything, we should have the highest rate of the lowest, I guess the lowest rate of missing water, if you call it that. So I don't know. I guess Councilor Alley, restate your motion and let's maybe change that motion if we have to, or we'll add another one. I'll make another one.
Right. Well, I think we're close to actually changing it because the usage changed. So now I'll state it. Well, the actual motion was just motion sending a letter requesting regarding question on residential water use calculation, which is less in question now, and basically in instituting a water saving program, right?
Right.
It doesn't sound like we have a problem anymore, if I may, Madam Chair, where if the
So-
usage now is being calculated, DEP recommends 60, 65, we're at 72. That's fairly close. We could probably dispense with that. We're probably calculating it better than we were before, so that can go. As far as the water saving program, that could stay. And then just add something that would look into this 70% unaccountable water usage. So
I
yeah.
think it'd be appropriate to split up that motion and the rate and
Well,
the
it
and
didn't-
the
it didn't-
statistics on the loss of water
Yeah.
that's not being paid for,
Right.
and put that into one motion, and then we can deal with the savings.
Well, I think we can basically strike the old motion, just even dispense with the original motion, and then
Okay,
just
so
submit a new
motion,
one.
yeah, so just
Okay.
rescind your motion.
All right, so just motion to withdraw this motion entirely.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none. Counselor Alley,
Yes.
Counselor Morganelli,
Yes.
and Counselor Mello, yes. Counselor Alley and Morganelli, would you like to make a new motion?
Do you want me to give it a go? All right. So, motion to send letter requesting the Water Department and Water Commission review and account for a 70% unaccountable water usage. You got that?
Is that unbilled water production? Is that
It's coming right out of usage. It's just, it's not billed. If it was billed, it would be accounted for.
right?
That's how it works.
Yeah, how about, all right, it wasn't seconded, so let me, how about, motion requesting from the Water Commission and Water Department an explanation of water rates and fees and water unaccounted water use that is unbilled,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I would get rid of the rates and fees. That's under their purview, right? I believe.
All right. then
Or do
don't
we?
say that one.
That's not the issue right now. But right now it's just investigating or reporting back on this unaccountable 17% unaccounted water usage. You know, there's a discrepancy when all the water is accounted for in terms of what we're producing.
I'd like
You know.
the motion, I'd like the motion not to have a percentage in there. I want them to produce the numbers and present something to this committee on the percentage of water that is lost without being billed for and why it's being lost and not billed for. And I want to see statistical evidence, based on other communities, and how does that match up with other communities? I think they need to produce some data. I'd like to see how we match up, and if they say, well, the average is 18% nationwide, we're right in the ballpark. The water's lost because of this. Okay, but maybe
All right, well, start writing.
Okay, so let's take a breath for a minute. I see that Councilor Babinski would like to say something, so I'm going to recognize her for a minute, and then I'm going to take a stab at it because I think I got it for you. Councilor Babinski?
Well, I just want to make a point of order. Things might have changed since I was last down there, but I do not think that a committee can make a motion that has not been referred to their committee by a vote of the full council. So you just remove from committee the original, which I'm guessing that
No,
Councilor Alley did put in.
no.
I don't know where that came from anyway, but I remember that happening a couple of times in the years that I was on it. And the point is you can submit a motion to the full council like you're suggesting right here, and the full council will vote it to be referred to the Natural Resources Committee. You're trying to take and make your own new motion now, and I don't know what you're going to do with it. Where are you going to bring it? So that's all I'm saying. Somebody should check, because you might just have to just put it on the next council agenda. That's all, and then have it referred to your committee. Go ahead.
Thank you. Councilor Alley?
Well, to answer Councilor Babinski's question, I kind of sort of agree. I tried to, a couple of meetings ago, submit these new. It was a view of the chair that we kind of sort of had this discussion in front of this committee. And so these, and I was tasked to, create the, so these motions didn't go to council and we're changing them. Council never voted on these. We're discussing a number of things with information. So these aren't motions that we're changing. These never came through council.
So if I may, the information we're discussing was brought in a letter from the Oxons to the city council that then got referred into Natural Resources, which is why it was already here. So the motions currently are being moved from Natural Resources to the council floor so that they can be acted on, because those specific motions were not listed, obviously, by Mrs. Oxon, who does not send us motions. So the letters that she sent asking us to look into things are in Natural Resources, and now we are making motions based on that letter in order for the city council to determine the next steps. Does that make sense?
Well, so you're saying that you're going to put this motion that you're now trying to craft here into city council as a motion from the council for them to vote on, back to you or back to some other group. I mean, when you make a motion, you refer it to some other or more than one, like refer it back to your committee, refer it to law department, refer it to water department or whatever, but the whole council votes on that motion.
Yes, Councilor Morganelli.
Yes. So if we motion to act on an item on our agenda and we vote to do something, it comes out to the full council out of this committee. It's reported out of this committee as a motion. And if the motion is to send a letter of request to a city department, and that's what the full council would vote on as when this item comes out of committee. We can still keep the item in committee if there's other things we need to do. But because we say motion to keep that item in the committee, we could still do that. But if there's an action that we need to vote on, if either one of us has a task of calling up the DPW and saying, hey, can I meet with you? Can you show me some data? Show me where all this water loss, and then we bring it back to the committee. We could do it that way too. You bring it back to the committee, and at our next meeting, you report on that. Here's what I got from, here's the report. Let me, or you can have the the water department or water commissioner explain it if they have to. They don't have to come to this committee meeting.
Right,
so
and
we can do it two ways. Two ways is that either you go get the information, you bring it back to this committee, and then we report on it to the council, or we motion to have the council vote on sending a report to, sending a request to a city department. You could do it either way. I think it's more official when the entire council votes on something, but if that's the end game of this item in our agenda, then we remove the item from the thing. If it's not an end game, then you probably want to just call up the DPW and meet with them and get the information. Right? Madam Chair?
Well, if the answers that you get are, solve the problem and end the investigation, then, yeah, that works out great. If you don't get the answers, then you do need that motion from the council in order to officially ask. So, Councilor Alley, do you want to try making phone calls first, or do you want to just send the motions out?
Do I want to start making phone calls to who?
As Councilor Morganelli just explained, that you can send the requests to the department or the commission and report back to the committee without making the motion to full council, or make the full motion to council as a formal request for the information from the department. Which is your preference?
Well, I wanted to send these in as motions to the full council to begin with.
Okay.
So we can write this up, and Council Morganelli and I, or whoever wants to be on this motion, Nick, I could send you this as a Word document. Do we want to handle that with all of these so that way? And basically for the next city council meeting, we'd have to do it by next Monday, submit these as motions, edited the way we can discuss it tonight. And I don't know, Council Miller, if you want to be on it or whatever, but we could resubmit these as motions Monday, and then we'll just go through, the regular council. We've discussed it. We've hammered these out, and then we could submit them as new motions for the next meeting. That's fit. Are you agreeable to that?
What do you think, Councilor Morganelli?
So give me the scenario again. You want to send this to the full council. That's what you said.
Right. In other words, right now we're having a discussion on these various things. Okay. We can do that. This is a Word document that I can send that just has these motions. We would rewrite them so that we're happy with, and then you and I could file these as motions by next Monday?
No.
Yeah.
No, we're discussing this in committee. So they come out as a report out of committee. This item can still stay in committee.
Okay.
Even though, but this is a motion that is come out of this discussion. So it's a motion from this committee to the council to vote on sending this a request to the water department.
Okay.
The water commission.
So what if we
and then
make
the council votes to do that, and then, then it's coming from the full council. But
all right,
everybody there agrees.
You'd like to take a stab at rewriting this one?
Okay, so try this. What if it is a motion to send a request to the water department and the water commission to determine the amount of water produced but not billed for, and then in quotes, right, unaccounted, for the city, and how that compares with other municipalities of our size based on population and municipal, like we don't want to say in a town where everybody's on a private well what they do, like, right, but, and,
Well, just compared to similar
Similar cities, similar municipalities. How's that? But somebody else has to make the motion. So I hope you were writing that down.
Yes. All right, so you want me to take a stab at it?
One more time. Yep.
So motion by somebody.
By the Natural Resources Committee.
All right. So motion by the Natural Resources Committee to send a letter to the Water Department and Water Commission requesting a report on water produced and not billed for, parentheses, unaccountable, in comparison to water usage by similar municipalities.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? I almost don't want to ask.
No, let's vote right away.
Okay, roll call vote. Counselor Alley.
A quick yes.
Counselor Morganelli.
Yes.
What time is
And
supper?
Counselor Melissa, yes.
Okay.
Okay, look, oh my God. Do you have any more for C?
Funny you should ask. So on before I get to that, on all of these, I'm just going to change this as a motion by the Natural Resources Committee. Okay. So moved.
And if you want, you don't have to send a whole letter requesting. You could just say to request. Send a request to. I mean, it will be in the form of an email or a letter, but
I will submit this to you soon.
okay. All right, so we're on C or D? Are we still doing C?
This would be a C. I believe
Okay.
this would be a C. So this is motion by the Natural Resource Committee requesting from the Water Commission question on a residential minimum use base rate. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Okay, so some residential homes use an average of 4 gallons a day consistently for years. And the question would be, should we institute a minimum water billing threshold? Because that may not even cover the cost of sending a bill. I mean, you only pay like a few dollars for 1,000 gallons. I mean, this would take like 2 years to get
Okay.
to a number, you
Right.
know?
Counselor Morganelli?
I really don't understand what this motion's for. Are we looking to, we want to bill people, if someone goes away for a month on vacation, we're still going
No,
to bill
this
them
is for
for a month
years.
for water?
This is for years. Okay, this is consistently for years, okay? It probably costs us money to send the bill.
Are we
Based on our water usage, there's no minimum. So, I mean, it's probably costing us money to actually mail the bill.
Why is it, there has to be a minimum? I mean,
We're talking using 4 gallons a day, consistently for years. So the Oskins have been able to they're going into these reports. You know, they're doing work that you and I probably couldn't do, okay, as accountants, and looking at things and seeing things but if a residential home is using an average of 4 gallons a day, it's probably costing. That's nothing. I mean, that's barely 1,000 gallons in a year. To send 4 bills a year, it's probably costing us money.
but most people aren't using 4 gallons a day. We heard 72 gallons a day. That's nowhere
Some
near 4.
residential, that would be different from the many. Yes. But
So, Counselor Alley, are you is part of this to determine what this setup is for a home to only
Even if it was
be
just
4
an
gallons a day? Like,
explanation
does
of
that imply that you're on city water and you have a private well? Is that like, I feel like there's subtext here. Is there something I'm missing?
Well, even if we just got an explanation, I don't think you can. Can you be on both?
I don't
I
think you're allowed.
don't think you can mix systems.
Councilor Morganelli?
I think this one is just a question. Just give them a call and ask the DPW, hey, someone that uses just 4 gallons a day on average, and give them that scenario and see what the answer is, and bring the answer back to the committee. I don't think this is motion worthy. I really don't. But we can't micromanage what they do, how they bill, and do that. I think the other question we asked in the motion is commendable. I think we do need to know how we compare to other communities, and if there's a huge water loss and we're not getting money for it, because that's going to get passed on to other people that are paying for it. But this is I think you should just ask this question. I don't think we need to entertain this motion. I'll be a no on the vote.
Or you can make a motion to, you can make whatever motion you want. I mean, we can remove it.
It's your motion. You can
Our
rescind it
motion
if
now.
you feel if you would like to.
Would you like to make calls on that instead, Councilor Alley?
Well, I was going to send it to the commission. Yeah, I can call the water department. So, did you second this? You didn't second it, right?
Well, I did, yeah. So you'd have to.
How dare you?
I did because
The audacity.
well, you had to go into a discussion, but
Yeah,
after hearing the
all right.
discussion, I think you should rescind.
All right.
That's my
Well,
opinion.
I will withdraw it. I will not rescind. But
Same thing.
God, you guys. Okay.
all right.
Are you motioning to withdraw?
Motion to withdraw this item from committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none. Roll call vote. Councilor Alley.
Abstain. No. I have a conflict. No. Yeah. Yes.
Councilor
Yes.
Morganelli. Councilor Mello's a yes. Okay, are we done with C yet, or are we going?
Yes. And we're done with C.
Okay, may I
you-
hear a motion to? You want to keep in committee or remove with our motions? Yes,
Was
sir.
there another motion on the water saving? The plan to conserve savings? What is it? There was another part of the other original motion that I thought you were going to reword. Was it a water savings measures?
Oh, but-
or,
They're at 90. They're not at 97 anymore. Now they're at 72.
so we don't need that one?
Right.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
it's always
the one-
good to conserve
That's
water.
the one that got totally rewritten.
All right.
You already voted for that.
Okay, so Councilor Alley, if you're done with letter C, can we have a motion to keep in committee, or do you want
Motion
to?
for 6C to leave in committee. Motion for item 6C to stay in committee.
Dan? Dan? Psst.
6C. They're all C's. But all right. So I'm calling on
Councilor Alley, if you just second, we can talk about anything you want.
second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion. Go ahead, Dan.
Can I get a reassignment? So, all right.
So we were finished.
Why would they?
We were
Okay.
finished discussing 6C items. So we just
Sweet.
motioned to leave it in committee because
All
we
of
have
them?
things that are out there still, and we need to
Correct.
still
But
report
one of
them.
them we're going to rewrite, and I'm going to make that one as a motion.
The item that's in committee, if I correct me if I'm wrong, Councilor Morganelli, but the item that's in committee until we get the answers, to our questions. We're
Yeah.
going to leave the item sitting there in case we
Right.
need to follow up.
Right.
So we're just motioning now to leave 6C in committee so that we can move on to 6D.
Yes.
Correct. That's a good point.
All right, so is that all the discussion, or can we do a roll
Yes.
call vote, move on to D? Okay, so roll call vote, Counselor Alley.
We vote too much. Yes.
I know, it's because it's Zoom. Counselor Morganelli
Yes.
and Counselor Mello is a yes. All right, 6D. Counselor Alley, do you have any motions for 6D?
Just one. So this is a motion by the National Resources Committee regarding senior credits on sewer bills and refer to Water Department.
Is the senior, oh, sorry. Counselor Morganelli.
The motion needs to be clarified.
Well, I'm
not gonna second it until it's clear.
Just second first, then discussion.
You need to restate your motion.
It's a motion by the Natural Resources Committee regarding senior credits, basically being displayed on the sewer bill.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion.
So the consumer bill should display the senior discount in the stub amount. Currently, it doesn't show up, but in other words, so this now it would be on there. So this is like an accounting thing, but currently the senior discount doesn't show up in the stub amount. So this would get it onto the bill, so you actually would see it. And there was already some discussion in the council or maybe the water commission about changing the actual percentage of the senior discount, but this would show this would show it on the bill in the stub. So just and refer to the water department.
Counselor Morganelli.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it would show the rate that everybody pays, and then it would show 5% discount, 8%, whatever it is.
Well, it's like right now it's like a 70% or whatever. It's up there, yes.
Right, whatever it is, right? And then and it would show, yeah. So that's probably should have been done a long time ago.
Is that all the discussion? Motion made and seconded. We've had our discussion. So roll call vote. Counselor Alley?
Yes.
Counselor Morganelli?
Yes.
Counselor Mello is a yes. So may I hear, do you want to keep this one in committee for now? Or do you want to keep the mechanisms for sewer rate savings? Have you reached out to Rep. Pease or Senator Vilas yet?
No.
Okay, so we need to
Yes.
keep this item in committee.
Motion to keep item 6D in committee.
Why do we have to reach out to those guys?
Because those were the other ways of finding avenues for savings for our residents. On March 2nd, when we were talking about the circuit breaker tax credit and the low income water assistance.
Oh, so this would just
that
keep
Yossi is
item
doing
60 that's far as
in
the-
committee while we
discussing.
keep doing our work. Mhm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, whatever. Yep, fine.
Second.
I wasn't planning on talking to them. This was enough. This
Okay.
edited down. There actually was another half dozen.
Right. Well, we got all summer. Okay. So motion made and seconded.
Did you second it, Counselor Alley?
Second,
Okay.
Roll call vote. Counselor Alley,
yes.
Counselor Morganelli,
Yes.
and Counselor Mello is a yes. Oh my goodness, we're done with 6. Okay, 7, new business. There is none. 8, item unforeseen at the time of the agenda. Now, originally there were none, but let me tell you, I found a typo in the January minutes and I sent you an update. So if we could please vote on the amended minutes. It was literally removing a 2 and putting it to be a 7. It was not. The only thing substantial was that, the date had a typo.
Yeah.
So may I have a motion to approve the amended minutes so that I can send them in and have them corrected?
Motion to approve the amended minutes from the January meeting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Counselor Ellie,
Yes.
Counselor Morganelli.
Yes.
Counselor Mello is a yes. Okay, great. Number 9, notes from the chair. I added this just because last week the Mass PFAS Interagency Task Force released their report. It was, not the magic silver bullet everyone wishes that it could be, but it was a very good beginning to set up some really good work. And so the agenda link is live. So if you click that, you can see the report. It's 11 meg, so it's a big download, but I highly recommend everyone read it. And also I got an email saying that the air sensors that we had received from Mass DEP have been calibrated and they're headed back here. They may be here now, just waiting to be installed. So that is my update. 9 is finished. May I hear a motion for item 10?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Go ahead, Councilor Morgan.
that's just notes from the chair, so we don't have to remove that from committee, right?
No, you don't need to do anything.
Yep.
It was just an
It's not
announcement to
It's
me.
not an item in committee. Yep, that's fine. Motion to adjourn, second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Want to talk about it? No.
I'm hungry.
Roll call vote. Councilor Alley,
Yes.
Councilor Morganelli,
Yes.
and Councilor Mello is a yes. This meeting is officially adjourned at 7:31 p.m. Thank you very much.